Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the moment of truth.
Now, I recognize that there are a lot of angry, disillusioned people out there, upset with the slow pace of change. And I get it. It is reasonable to be frustrated. We all know we have a lot more work to do in this country. But to anyone out there thinking about sitting out this election or voting for Donald Trump or a third-party candidate in protest because you're fed up, let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. Are you as men prepared to look into the eyes of the women and children you love and tell them that you supported this assault on our safety? And to the women listening, we have every right to demand that the men in our lives do better by us. We have to use our voices to make these choices clear to the men that we love. Our lives are worth more than their anger and disappointment. You are a woman who lives in a household of men that don't listen to you or value your opinion. Just remember that your vote is a private matter. So let us use our voices in these final days to make it plain to the men in our lives that we need to stand not with Trump, but with us. We need them to vote for the only candidate in this race who will protect our lives. We need them to vote for Kamala Harris. Kamala, she will fight to restore our reproductive freedoms and defend our health. Kamala will fight for our access to life-saving emergency care and maternal care in every state. Kamala will veto any abortion ban or bill that restricts access to contraception or IVF. Kamala will expand access to birth control and abortion pills. And she will do all of this not because she's a woman, but because she's a decent human being. She will do this because she cares about the lives of people other than herself. And that's really what this election is about, Michigan. This isn't just about what we have an obligation to say no to. It's about what we have the opportunity to say yes to. And we can elect someone who has the experience, the character, and the strength to look at all these challenges and still see a brighter day on the other side. Kamala Harris will see us, all of us. Kamala Harris will listen to us, all of us. She will protect our freedom. She'll stand up for all of our lives. She will have our backs for the folks trying to get ahead and those just trying to get by. And in doing so, she will usher in a new generation of American leadership and send the ugliness of Donald Trump and his politics back where it belongs, the past. But Michigan, she cannot do any of this alone. So I'm asking you one last time, let us not just sit around and complain. Let's do something. If your brother or your son or boyfriend needs to hear your perspective, are you willing to talk to them? Are you willing to send a video of what I've just said? Are you willing to do something?
Nice to see that Barack Obama's resident hag has crawled out from under whatever DNC donor that she was licking the boots of. Now, I've been telling you for the longest time that the Democrats have been trying to set up some sort of political bank shot with all of this lecturing of black men. The idea behind it, as I've explained, is they hope that this is going to galvanize black women into harassing and haranguing black men to the polls. First it was Magic Johnson, then Barack Obama, then Spike Lee, now Michelle Obama, all with the same message. Black women, we gotta tell these black men what to do. They need to understand that they need to obey what to do. Well, the joke's on them because there's a lot of black women and more every day who aren't going for that gender war crap. They're preaching to the wrong choir. All of these little pretend shea butter bootlicks that they stand in front of, they got the same old gang of Democratic Party volunteers and operatives and shills that they stand in front of, and like trained seals they clap on command. But the numbers are clearly going in the wrong direction for Kamala Harris, and they can tell. And here Michelle Obama is validating and verifying exactly what I told you. She's confessing to it. She's admitting it. She's saying you, talking about black women, need to get these men to the polls. And what's the issue that she's going to be using? Abortion. She's not coming to black women talking about anything that they're going to be getting other than we're going to provide a way to make sure that you can kill your own babies. We want to make sure that there's no black babies, and that's what's important to vote for. She's not talking about doing anything other than that. This is the big sales pitch. This is supposed to be what inspires you to nag black men to the polls. Well, the black men have already made it clear. You're not putting anything on the table. We ain't listening to that. And speaking of not listening, this isn't the first time that Michelle Obama's called herself running her big mouth when it comes to black men and calling herself lecturing black men about how deficient she thinks black men are. She has a history of doing this.
What can men do leaving here? Be better. Be better at everything.
Now, that little snippet was from a paid engagement that Michelle Obama had with Oprah Winfrey. You saw how Oprah Winfrey was cackling and laughing like that. This is what these clowns do behind closed doors most of the time. They usually have better sense than to do this mess in public. But they just couldn't help themselves. Michelle Obama has absolutely no business telling anyone, especially not black men, to do better. She in particular needs to do better at everything, like having common sense. Now, all of you DNC shills and plants and operatives who lurk around here, I've been trying to find you so you can defend this garbage and explain this nonsense, and you're in hiding because you're not even trying to defend it. But talk about failing to read the room. If it comes to a situation of asking about black men, all of this, you need to make it easier for the black women in your lives to kill their babies. You should be ushering them to the abortion mills. Go ahead and drive them to the local Planned Parenthood. That's the only thing she didn't say. We got all of these issues, existential crises going on here, and she's talking about expediting the end of black people in America. That's what it really is. But then again, you got to consider the fact that most black men in America are not married and have no children. So when she starts talking about your wives, most black men aren't married. She starts talking about your children. Most black men don't have any children at all, male or female. And a large part of that is because of people like Oprah Winfrey who've been running around pushing this garbage, all of this gender war crap. And Michelle Obama, she's showing who wears the pants in that particular family. All of this heinous disrespect. This is what accelerates the dissolution of the black family. Because for the last 3 generations, you've had these bought and paid for bootlicks, these shea butter feminists who've been running around spouting this kind of garbage, sowing the seeds of enmity and disdain between black men and black women. Why? For their own political gain. Because as long as black men and black women are at each other's throats, as long as we're sitting here arguing with each other, we're not putting our heads together, and that means we're not presenting a united front and united opposition to the forces of anti-black racism. Divide and conquer. That's what it's about. And now they're not even making any bones about it. As far as this election goes, this is not about anything substantive. This is about abortion, don't you know? Because that's the number one issue affecting black people in general and black women in specific, right? That's supposed to be their big pitch to get black women to the polls. Of course, they know exactly what they're really doing. The pitch isn't so much about abortion. That's window dressing. The real pitch is you're going to have Michelle Obama wagging her finger at black men and telling black men how deficient they are, and black women, that makes you want to go vote, doesn't it? Well, for the handful of idiots who may be at these little rallies, that might be good enough for them. But for more and more black women, it's not good enough at all. See, this is the reason why Barack Obama failed to help Hillary Clinton capture the White House in 2016. Elections are about pocketbook issues. They're about bank account issues. Black people, not just black women or black men, but black people need tangibles. And what is it the Democrats are offering? Abortions and legalized weed. That's it. That's their big sales pitch. And it's no coincidence that Michelle Obama pulled this stunt in Michigan. As I explained to you in yesterday's briefing, Michigan happens to be a state that, depending on who you ask, it's either leaning for Trump or for Kamala, depending on who you ask. And at least 4 of the other 7 battleground states are leaning toward Trump. So that being the case, as far as the Democrats are concerned, okay, black men, they're not on board with this and they've made the most noise. We're going to see if we can go ahead and pat black women on the heads and see whether or not they're going to go for it. And in the meanwhile, why don't you go ahead and tell those useless, worthless black men that you're shacking up with, tell them that they need to go to the polls. Tell them they need to be better. Because finger wagging and lecturing and insults, that's how you get people to the polls, right? But what it goes to show is they've already decided in their minds they're writing off black men as a group for the most part. As far as they're concerned, that trend has already started. That snowball has gone down the hill, has become an avalanche. They can already tell where the trend is heading as far as they're concerned. Okay, fine then. We're going to be running against black men. And she's got nerve telling black men to be better at anything. She needs to be a better mother. It's her kids running around smoking weed on camera like a couple of idiots. Yeah, these are the Obama family values. This is how Michelle Obama raises her children. She needs to be better at everything. And far as I can see, she's off to a slow start. So this is the Democrats' big strategy a week out from the election. A week out from the election, this is what the Democrats come up with. This is going to be their voter outreach program. They're reaching out and slapping black voters in the face. So the question is, does Kamala Harris think this is doing her campaign any good? Because there's no way Michelle Obama, high profile as she is, would be saying any of this if Kamala Harris had not said, hey, you can't do what Barack Obama did a couple of weeks ago. You can't do that. We're not trying to alienate black male voters. We've already caught a lot of flack and backlash over it. We're not trying to do that. Instead, you see Michelle Obama doubling down on it. And what does that tell you about Kamala Harris? Clearly, this is a DNC strategy, and she's fully clued in on it. In fact, she's most likely endorsed it. So does she think that all of this black male bashing is helping her campaign? Does she have any idea where her standing is with black male voters today?
So a hot mic moment at a campaign stop in Michigan appears to have caught Vice President Harris admitting to Governor Gretchen Whitmer that her campaign has an issue that they're working on with male voters. Listen.
Yeah. Oh, we have microphones and I was listening to everything. I didn't realize that.
So my thing is, we need to move ground among men. Well, now she could just go to men and actually say, you know what, let me go ahead and hear what it is you got to say, and then I'm going to make those into the planks of my political platform. She could go to black men to do that. But instead, what she's decided to do is the same old Democrat strategy of sticking to these little bought and paid for scumbag bootlicks. Some of these sexually suspect shea butter bootlicks, that's what she's doing. These are the black males that she prefers to talk to, the ones who are already on the take, the ones who are not going to say, well, here's what you have to do, because this is not about actually doing anything for black people. This is about getting votes without having to do anything for black people at all. And that's the reason why she's constantly spouting this gibberish and talking points and pre-memorized gobbledygook. You know, Hillary Clinton also thought that she could word salad her way into the White House too. How'd that work out? So this is going to be the Democrat strategy, not just for this election, but going forward. No carrots, just sticks, and being blatant about it, just being bold about it. If you think you're going to be staying at home, your rage and all the... At no point does she say, you know what, there have been so many mistakes made, we screwed up 5 ways from Sunday, man, it's understandable that you're put out with this, because we didn't do anything and that was by design. No, instead it's, you're wrong because you just don't understand. Same thing Barack Obama was saying. There are people who don't like us, they don't understand how government works. No, we understand exactly how the government works. That's the problem. Now, I think the most obvious question, of course, is who the hell made the Obamas think that they could stand in front of black people, black men in particular, and lecture us and finger wag and insult us and talk down to us? Just who on earth made them think that they could insult us, lecture us, talk down to us, and then believe that we would immediately get up and go and vote their way afterward? Just who the hell told them that they could get away with something like this? Well, actually, black voters did. Obama and his crew, they didn't just start insulting us this election cycle. Obama was doing it back in 2008. The insulting, the lecturing, the finger wagging, the condescending to black people, playing to stereotypes, especially with black men. Obama was doing that mess back in 2008. And when he got elected, he continued to do it as president. And then when he got reelected in 2012, those soft-headed, squishy-brained morons were saying, he just need to wait till he get reelected. He gonna do things for us in his second term. The only thing he did in his second term was to call black protesters thugs and to take the side with the white supremacists. That's what he did. Oh, but he also took out some time to insult black people every chance he got. And then after he left office, he's continued to insult us ever since. These were not any coincidences or happenstance. This was him showing his complete and thorough contempt for the black community in general and black men in specific. But you know what? This is good, because in openly attacking black men like this so frequently and so viciously, the Obamas are showing that they know what low regard black people in general hold them in. They know that the 2016 election and his failure to be a kingmaker, his failure to turn out the black vote, that wasn't some momentary blip on the radar. The black community was looking at Barack Obama and Michelle and saying, you know what, y'all two ain't worth spit. After the 2016 defeat of Hillary Clinton, Obama was splaining that, well, I understand that the people feel that I could have done more. I was only president, not dictator. And yet he had no problem getting things done for everyone else. And now Michelle Obama's got the nerve to think that she can demand black people vote the way she wants, when she and her husband's refusal to produce for black voters is precisely why so many of us are sitting this election out. She and Obama, they're playing to the shea butter bootlick crowd and the white media circuit. That's who all this public griping about black men is meant to impress. That's who they're hoping to get a pat on the back from. The white media can give you a platform, be it at the DNC convention or on the campaign trail, but what they can't give you is legitimacy. And when a critical mass of people catch on, the white media won't be able to do any image rehabilitation for you either. Thinking that these public denunciations of black men are going to motivate black women to the polls, it just goes to show that the Obamas are as clueless now as they were in 2016. The kind of stuff that might get a couple of giggles around DNC headquarters and make them think that they're so clever, that stuff falls flat when you try it in the real world. The very black men whose votes that the Obamas need are largely unmarried and have no children. And if black women go for Michelle Obama's claptrap, then black folks won't have children at all. This is about getting black folks to cheer and celebrate someone telling us that the only public policy that matters for black people is reducing the black population. I think that this moment is going to be remembered as the moment when the Obamas drove the final nail into their own little would-be legacy's coffin. That's what this moment is going to be remembered as. The people who thought to themselves that they were going to be this little rump contingent of cheerleaders for the Obamas, this is going to be the final instance where you can point and say, you guys need to defend this. They can't. So they'll be running from it. And this is where the Obamas did themselves in. They went ahead and made it where now their names are going to be dirt henceforth and forevermore, as they should be. And I also think that this is probably going to be the final nail in the Harris campaign's coffin for the second time in a row. But the black vote, I'm talking about black men and black women together. We know better than what the Obamas are trying to serve up. We're speaking with one voice on this. No tangibles, no vote, no kidding. Oh, and as for Michelle's fuming about black voters sitting this one out, well, this black man, I'm not going to have time to vote on Election Day, I'm afraid, because I'm going to be at home, doing better. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Richard Mitchell, Keitha Dixon, Andre Nelson, Zachariah Williams, and Avenge the Ancestors. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.